right. I think we're live. Nathan Johnson, it looks like you are in. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Let's just post here. How is the audio? Mr. Indeed. What's up, buddy? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Amanda. I think we're ready here, huh? I think we're going to do this. All right, 17 folks in the room. I know there was about 20 signed up. So let's get to it. Perfect. Thanks, Greg. Okay, let's go with, let's go here first. What's up, y'all? I am Andy McCabe. I am a remote Xactimate estimator. I'm a licensed public adjuster, and I've been in this crazy, crazy restoration world since 2001, which means I've seen a lot. And I started out when there was very little technology that we were using in the field, and now we're using so much technology. But I started a company called Claims Delegates, which is a remote Xactimate estimating firm in 2012. And up until today, the number one problem I have with my clients is their inability to thoroughly and properly scope projects so I can spin that information into money for them via Xactimate estimating. So this is the first time I've done this class in this format. I've done personal on-site private trainings over the years, but this is the first time I'm doing it this way. So forgive me. I've recorded all the audio, and I just got done moments ago putting the slides together. You all will get a package of scope sheets and the booklet that goes along with this course and everything else via email after this. And this will be recorded. This will be available to you. Anyone who's paid for this class will be able to watch it in perpetuity forever, and on the Claim Clinic Thinkific platform. So if there's any other questions, put them in the chat. I've got that up over here on my right-hand side. And I'm going to go ahead and present here. Let me see. How does this work? There we go. This is going to work better. All right. Looks like we got a couple people drop off, which is fine. We're going to be here a little while. So we're going to go through the presentation. I'm going to stop to point out some things. And at the end, I'm going to do some show and tell. I had a loss I went to actually yesterday, and I used Encircle to do a sketch, and I did my photos in Encircle, and we're going to work through that pretty small loss in person here between us all to see if the course worked, if you got the information correctly. All right, have I talked enough? Let's do it. Just so you know, the voice you're about to hear is not my voice. Welcome to the magic world of AI. Let's see if this will work.
Chapter 1, Welcome and Context Setting.
Can you hear that?
For dollars, a practical training guide for restoration professionals who are ready to take their project scoping to the next level. Module 1, Scoping Types. Chapter 1, Welcome and Context Setting. Welcome to Scoping for Dollars, a practical training guide for restoration professionals who are ready to take their project scoping to the next level. This course exists because in the restoration business, precision isn't just a best practice, it's a profit center. The scopes we write in the field directly determine the revenue we capture. In short, if it doesn't make the scope, it doesn't make the estimate. For more than a decade, I've worked on both.
Okay, let me pause this. Sounds like the audio is not coming through. It's probably picking up on this microphone here, which is less than ideal. what I could do, let's see if this will work. I'm going to turn this up. Hang with me, folks. I'm sorry. Technology is amazing. Only when it works. Okay. Testing. Let's see. Let's put this right here. Turn this up a little more. All right, let's work this out here. One more time.
Chapter 1, Welcome and Context Setting. Welcome to Scoping for Dollars, a practical training guide for restoration professionals who are ready to take their project scoping to the next level. This course exists because in the restoration business, precision isn't just a best practice, it's a profit center. The scopes we write in the field directly determine the revenue we capture. In short, if it doesn't make the scope, it doesn't make the estimate. For more than a decade, I've worked on both sides of the insurance claim, first as a mitigation tech with a moisture meter in hand, then as a licensed adjuster, and now as the founder of a remote estimating firm that sees hundreds of project files each month. And I can tell you, without hesitation, that complete, detailed, and justifiable field documentation is the number one factor that separates profitable projects from break-even ones. This course is designed for field professionals, project managers, estimators, and technicians who want to get better at scoping, faster at documentation, and clearer in communication. Because here's the reality. If your estimators are struggling to write from your notes, your company is losing money. If your adjusters can poke holes in your documentation, your estimates will get chopped. And if your photos and sketches don't tell a complete story, you're forcing someone else to guess what you meant, or worse, they'll leave out important and expensive steps. You're here to prevent that. We'll begin by distinguishing between two very different scoping disciplines, mitigation, MIT, and structural repairs, STR. We'll then dive deep into how to scope for repairs, room by room, line by line, using sketches, photos, and well-structured narrative descriptions that defend themselves in Xactimate. We'll also walk through the tools that make your job easier, including sketch automation software like Encircle, Matterport, and DokaSketch. But first, I want to remind you why this work matters. Behind every scope is a homeowner, a business, a family trying to put their lives back together. And behind every properly scoped project is a professional who took the time to see the details, not just the damage. If you do this work right, if you commit to scoping completely and clearly, you won't just get paid more. You'll become the kind of restoration professional this industry desperately needs, a leader who sets the standard. So take a deep breath. Grab your notepad. Let's get started. Because the dollars are in the details, and you're about to learn how to make more money.
It does not automatically proceed. Okay. I'm going to like I said, the comment section is open. So go ahead and ask any questions as we go, and I'll try to answer them as we go. But I want to get through the lion's share of the presentation, and then we'll open up for Q&A. Hopefully, I can figure out how to get you guys all into this same room, and we can talk amongst ourselves. Let's see. Is this going to work? What the craptastic?
Chapter 1.
No.
Welcome and context setting.
No.
Welcome to Scoping for Dollars, Module 1, Scoping Types, Mitigation versus Structural Repairs. Before we dive into the mechanics of writing a great repair scope, we need to understand the fundamental differences between the two types of scoping work you'll encounter in the restoration world: mitigation, MIT, and structural repairs, STR. Mitigation, scoping, reactive and real-time. Mitigation. Scoping is performed in the field in real time by the technicians who are actively responding to the loss. These scopes are primarily about documenting what happened and what was done to stabilize the environment. The goal is simple. Capture every action taken, every piece of equipment placed, every material removed. Technicians on site use a variety of tools to assist in this documentation. The 24-hour tech system, a pen and paper workflow that walks techs through a 20-step process, prompting them to document key actions as they occur. It's visual, tactile, and trained consistency. Encircle Hydro Module, a mobile-friendly, app-based platform that lets technicians record drying logs, photo documentation, moisture readings, and equipment placement as they move through a structure. Mitigation scoping is largely about logging actions. There's little guesswork. It's the what we did story, and it must be accurate, complete, and timely. Structural repair scoping, predictive and prescriptive. In contrast, repair scoping is future focused. It requires vision. You are no longer describing what already happened. You are describing what needs to happen next. This kind of scoping takes judgment about materials and methods, foresight to see the full path to completion, and communication skills to describe what needs to be done in a way that makes sense to others. Where mitigation scopes are reactive, repair scopes are prescriptive. You're crafting a plan, a written, visual, and photographic story that answers the question, what will it take to return this structure to pre-loss condition? And more importantly, how do I prove that each of those steps is reasonable and necessary?
All right, real quick. Today we're going to focus on repair scoping. The mitigation scoping, I don't think that was clear in what I just said. Mitigation scoping is really done in the field, and you're going to have some tick sheets. I'm going to give you a copy of the 24-hour tech. You may have some tick sheets on your own. Like I just mentioned, Encircle Hydro module is really good walking you through mitigation scoping. It's really just tick, 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 tick. But today we're going to talk more about the structural repair scoping side. All right, cool. Let's see if I can mess this up one more time for you.
Module 1, scoping types.
Oh, Christ.
Mitigation versus structural repairs. Before we dive into the mechanics of writing a great repair scope, we need to understand the fundamental difference.
Many apologies.
Module 1,
I feel
scoping
like
types.
an
Mitigation
idiot.
versus structural repairs. Before we dive into the mechanics,
And now it's not playing.
Module 3, photographic documentation. Module 2, sketching and measuring for repairs. Every good repair scope starts with a solid sketch. Without it, you're flying blind, and so is your estimator. Sketching isn't about artistic talent. It's about clarity, consistency, and communicating the layout and dimensions of the affected structure. The sketch is your map. It tells the story of the space, and when paired with your photos and written scope, it creates a three-dimensional understanding of the job for someone who's never been to the site. A bit of history. When I started in restoration, there were no apps. Heck, there weren't even smartphones. I didn't get my first laser tape until 2009. Everything we did was on graph paper and measured with a metal tape. Sketching was the most time-consuming part of scoping back then. Now, I can create a near-perfect digital sketch from my phone in minutes and import it directly into Xactimate. You guys don't know how good you have it. Your goal, functional, repeatable sketches. A good sketch should capture room names, room dimensions, length, width, ceiling height, door and window locations, key fixtures, cabinets, plumbing, stairs, appliances, connections between rooms, hallways, open concepts, etc. You don't need architectural software or a background in CAD, but in today's industry, you shouldn't be relying solely on manual methods either. For the simplest jobs, a tape measure and a consistent process may suffice. But for most losses, adopting digital sketch tools is the new standard for speed, clarity, and accuracy. The elephant in the room, Xactimate. Everything you gather, every sketch, every dimension ultimately feeds into one thing, the Xactimate estimate. Your sketch must align with what Xactimate needs to calculate line item quantities. This means measure linear footage for items like baseboard, trim, and cabinetry. Ensure all measurements are clear, legible, and easy to interpret. Avoid clutter and confusion. Label each room with consistent, sensible names that match the photo set and written scope. Include more than just the damaged areas. Capture adjacent rooms, transitions, and unaffected zones for context and continuity. Indicating scope boundaries where repairs start and stop. Automated sketch tools, boosting accuracy. In this day and age, paper and pen sketching should be reserved for only the simplest, smallest losses. The technology available today is too powerful, too accessible, and too efficient to ignore. If you're still relying on manual sketching for every job, it's time to reassess. You can increase accuracy, reduce estimating time, and improve communication with adjusters by adopting digital tools. I encourage you to explore the apps we'll discuss here, not just for yourself, but for your entire organization. A standardized digital-first approach to sketching can level up your whole operation. If you're looking to level up your speed or accuracy, consider using these tools. Encircle floor plan, fast and easy to use in the field. Generates sketches from photos and laser-assisted measurements. Integrates with Xactimate, DocuSketch. Creates immersive 360-degree walkthroughs and extracts floor plans with scope notes. Excellent for communication with adjusters. Matterport plus TruePlan produces detailed 3D scans and exports .skx files directly into Xactimate. Ideal for complex or high-value losses. The tool you choose doesn't matter as much as your discipline. Consistency beats tech every time. In the next module, we'll look at how to document your project visually, room by room, with photos that prove your scope. Because what isn't seen isn't scoped, and what isn't scoped doesn't get paid. Module 3, photographic documentation. If the sketch is your map, then the photos are your proof. Together, they form the foundation of any defensible repair scope. Incomplete, inconsistent, or unclear photo documentation is one of the most common and costly mistakes made in the field. Let's fix that. Great photo documentation follows an intentional order. Not only does this ensure you capture all the necessary details, it also tells the person reviewing your file, whether an estimator or an insurance adjuster, that a professional was on site. The photo capture process, a proven routine. Start just outside the room. Take a photo from outside the doorway looking in. This provides context and spatial orientation, showing how the room connects to adjacent areas. 2 corner sweeps, right to left. Stand in one corner of the room and take overlapping photos starting from the right wall and moving left. Then go to the opposite corner and do the same. These sweeps create a panoramic understanding of the room layout. Aim for 3 to 5 photos per sweep. Floor and ceiling shots. While in each corner, snap one shot of the floor and one of the ceiling. Be sure to capture light fixtures, floor coverings, and any visual defects. These are commonly missed. Module 4, writing the repairs. Module 3, photographic documentation. Module 4, writing the repair scope. Module 3, photographic documentation.
I feel like an idiot. Okay, I want to, damn it. I want to go back to that photo, how we take pictures. This is one of the key points that I always teach technicians and project managers in the field. And it didn't come through real well, so I want to really illustrate it. So when we're taking photos, it's important that we get the whole picture, right? But it's also important that we give the viewer of those photos an idea of where they're at in the loss, where they're at in the structure. So the first photo in a room I always take is from outside the room. I'm looking into the room so I get some context in the picture of what the other rooms look like. I take a photo. And then I go directly in and I pick a corner. Doesn't matter which corner. So I go to that corner and I always go right to left. And I go picture so I can get the right-hand wall, picture, picture, picture. I try to overlap until I get the left-hand wall. And then I go to the opposite corner and I do the same thing. Start on the right-hand side, take your picture, boom, boom, boom. That's it. And then I might move to the center of one of those walls. I'm going to take a picture of the floor. I'm going to take a picture of the ceiling. Same thing. I'm going to go the opposite side, picture the floor, picture ceiling. That will get the entire room. Now, if you're using a Matterport, if you're using DocuSketch, some of this is less important, but you still need to be able to know how to tell a story through pictures. Okay. Darn it. Where was I? Let's try this one more time.
Module 3, photographic documentation.
Not awesome.
The sketch is your map, and
let's go here.
Photo capture process, a proven routine. Module 3, photographic documentation. If the sketch is your map, then the photos are your proof. Together, they form the foundation of any defensible repair scope. Incomplete, inconsistent, or unclear photo documentation is one of the most common and costly mistakes made in the field. Let's fix that. Great photo documentation follows an intentional order. Not only does this ensure you capture all the necessary details, it also tells the person reviewing your file, whether an estimator or an insurance adjuster, that a professional was on site. The photo capture process, a proven routine. Start just outside the room. Take a photo from outside the doorway looking in. This provides context and spatial orientation, showing how the room connects to adjacent areas. 2 corner sweeps, right to left. Stand in one corner of the room and take overlapping photos starting from the right wall and moving left. Then go to the opposite corner and do the same. These sweeps create a panoramic understanding of the room layouts. Aim for 3 to 5 photos per sweep. Floor and ceiling shots. While in each corner, snap 1 shot of the floor and 1 of the ceiling. Be sure to capture light fixtures, floor coverings, and any visual defects. These are commonly missed and often questioned. Damage-focused photos. If there's visible damage, begin with a wide shot to show its position in the room, then take progressively closer shots to highlight material details, depth, staining, or texture changes. Shoot from multiple angles to add perspective. Pre-existing conditions. Take photos of anything that was damaged before your team arrived. Scratches on walls, dents in appliances, water stains unrelated to the current loss. These photos protect your company from false claims. Fixtures and appliances, verify what's installed with photos. Is that a gas or electric range? Snap the back of it. Is there a garbage disposal under the sink? Document it. These little details make a big difference when it's time to scope repairs. Following this routine every time helps you avoid missed details and builds habits that scale across your team. It's a signal of professionalism and a safeguard for your bottom line. Field photography best practices. Use natural light where possible. Bring floodlights for dark rooms or power outages. Clean your camera lens before each shoot. Group photos logically using folders by room or task. Take more photos than you think you need, then a few more. Case example, Morrison job and circle report. To bring this process to life, we'll review a real and circle photo report from the Morrison job. Can you tell whether I followed my own process? This structured approach to photo documentation not only improves estimate accuracy, it accelerates approval and shortens the payment cycle. In the next module, we'll learn how to turn your sketch and photos into a clear, defensible repair scope, the written narrative that ties it all together. Module 4, writing the repair scope. Now that you've built a detailed sketch and captured a comprehensive photo record, it's time to write the actual scope of work. This is the written narrative that connects all the visual and dimensional data you've gathered and translates it into a job plan your estimator and eventually your adjuster can follow and approve. A well-written scope clearly outlines what work needs to be done to bring the structure back to its pre-loss condition. It should match the sketch, be supported by your photos, and follow a repeatable, logical order. Done right, it reduces questions, speeds up estimating, and results in faster approvals. Use a standard structure. We recommend combining 2 proven techniques for scope organization outside in. Start at the building's outermost layers and work inward. On interior rooms, apply this by addressing structural elements first, framing, insulation, before moving into finishes, drywall, texture, paint. Bottom, top, work from the floor up to the ceiling. For example, begin with floor framing or subfloor repair, then move to underlayment, flooring, baseboards, walls, ceilings, and finally any lighting or crown molding. Using both together creates a consistent rhythm. You'll reduce missed items and write scopes that your teammates can quickly understand. When everyone thinks and scopes in the same order, it's easier to spot mistakes. Example, in the living room, you scope clean subfloor, install underlayment, install pad, install carpet. But in the family room, you accidentally omit underlayment. If your estimator is trained in this same method, they'll likely catch the discrepancy. Stick to the sequence. Don't bounce around the room listing tasks out of order. It's more work for the estimator and increases the odds of leaving something out. Think room by room. The easiest way to stay organized is to break the scope down room by room. Label each room clearly and describe the work in a logical sequence. Example, living room, clean and seal subfloor. Install underlayment. Install carpet pad. Install carpet. Replace 48 linear feet of painted baseboard. Walls, remove and replace 64 SF drywall on 2 walls. Tape, mud, and apply matching texture. Spot prime and paint 2 walls. Blend to corner. Each item should be easy to read and correspond with your sketch and photos. Avoid vague phrasing. Be specific about quantities and locations. Use clear, complete sentences when needed, especially when describing unusual damage or repair conditions. And always write with the mindset that your estimator might only catch 50% of what you write. The clearer and more complete your scope, the more defensible and profitable your estimate will be. Justify unusual items. If you're only painting 3 walls, note why the 4th is excluded. FYI, I rarely only paint part of a room. Ninjas only measure once. The room variable method. If your sketch is accurate, you don't need to remeasure every room. That's the beauty of the room variable approach, which I first developed in the 24-hour tech mitigation scoping system. Xactimate allows us to use variables in place of hard measurements. The most useful ones are W, wall square footage, F, floor square footage, C, ceiling square footage, PF, PC. Perimeter of floor or ceiling, EW, exterior walls. Instead of measuring for every task, use these variables. For example, paint, W/4 equals paint 1 wall. Baseboard, PF equals replace all baseboards. As long as your sketch reflects accurate room dimensions and openings, these formulas will auto-calculate correctly in Xactimate. Let's work through a few examples together in the next live segment. Avoid copy-paste syndrome. Every job is different. Don't reuse scope notes without tailoring them to the site. Even if the work seems similar, walk the room mentally as you write. What's the starting condition? What's damaged, missing, or intact? This sets your baseline. You're establishing what existed at the time of inspection, what materials are still in place, what has been removed, and what has been affected by the loss. Accurately documenting the starting point ensures your scope clearly reflects what restoration actions are necessary, and it prevents confusion about pre-existing conditions or the extent of needed repairs. What materials are needed include both major items and hidden layers, e.g. underlayment, insulation, hardware. Think holistically about what it will take to complete the room from structural elements to finish. Consider the materials needed for demolition, replacement, and finishing. This includes fasteners, adhesives, vapor barriers, transition strips, and moldings, not just the big ticket items. The more thorough you are up front, the fewer surprises later in the estimate or in the field. What sequence is realistic? I consider workflow, trade overlap, and drying or cure times. Think through the actual order in which the work will be performed. Ask yourself which trades are needed first, what must be completed before the next phase can begin, and how delays or rework can be prevented. This ensures the scope is not only complete, but also efficient and feasible when it comes time to schedule labor and resources. Can I defend every item with a photo? And if not, go back and get the shot. Match scope to estimate. Your estimate should mirror your scope, period. The structural foundation of your Xactimate file is established during the scoping process. A clear, organized scope becomes the blueprint for estimate generation. Use consistent naming and phrasing across scope and estimate. Reference quantities, e.g. 64 square feet drywall, 48 linear feet base. Include setup, access, and safety notes where relevant. Think of the scope as a written script. The estimate is the performance. If the script is solid, the rest follows naturally. In the next module, we'll dive into the most common mistakes that derail scopes and how to catch them before they cost you real money.
Cross your fingers.
Module 5, justifying the scope, telling the story. By now, you've developed a sketch, taken your photos, and written a room-by-room breakdown of the work required. But you're not done yet. In fact, you've just reached one of the most critical and overlooked parts of the scoping process, justification. Justification is the narrative layer that transforms a list of tasks into a fully defensible estimate. It's not enough to say what you're going to do. You must also explain why it needs to be done, especially when a third party, like an insurance adjuster, is footing the bill. Think of your written scope as a courtroom transcript. Every item is a claim, and every claim must be backed by evidence. The stronger the justification, the fewer objections you'll face. Line item justification. Every line in your scope should have a reason. When possible, support it with a reference to an accepted standard, like the ICRCS 500 for water damage, or regional building codes for structural and fire-related losses. These references elevate your estimate from opinion to professional standard. Don't assume that the adjuster will understand why you included something. Spell it out. Example, if you're replacing the baseboards in a room, you might write, baseboard was water damaged during mitigation and removed. Replacement is necessary to restore finish. Or if you're calling for new paint on multiple walls, 3 walls were damaged and require paint. 4th wall is within line of sight and will not match if left unpainted. Paint continuity required for uniform appearance. Support every line with photos or sketch references. If you're writing, replace 64 square feet drywall, the estimator and adjuster should be able to open your photo set or sketch and immediately find those 64 square feet. Circle it in a photo. Label it on the sketch. Make it unmistakable. The goal is 0 guesswork. The more specific you are with your references, the less back and forth you'll have later. Pro tip, when in doubt, add a short sentence to your scope that says see photo or refer to sketch markup. This ties your written documentation back to your visuals and adds weight to your estimate. What adjusters actually need? Adjusters are under pressure to approve only what's necessary, reasonable, and supported by documentation. That means clear causation. Is this work related to the covered loss? Visual evidence. Can I see the damage or the reason for replacement? Scope alignment. Does the scope of work match the photos and sketch? Consistency. Are you applying the same logic in every room? If your scope passes those filters, most line items will get approved without issue. Case in point, replacing undamaged flooring. This is one of the most common areas where justification makes or breaks a scope. You might be replacing water-damaged flooring in the dining room, but the connected living room shares the same material and wasn't directly damaged. And here's how you justify it. Dining room flooring is continuous with living room. See photos. Material no longer available. Patching not possible. Full replacement required to maintain uniform appearance. Or damage extends into open floor plan space. Transition lines not feasible due to room layout. Consistent flooring necessary for visual continuity. In cases like this, continuity, material availability, and line of sight aesthetics are the key arguments. Support them with wide-angle photos, close-ups, and a clear note in your written scope. Remember, every item you scope is a story. It's your job to make that story clear, consistent, and defensible. If the story is easy to follow, your estimate is easier to approve, and your project moves forward without delays. In the next module, we'll cover the most common pitfalls that trip up even experienced scopers, and how to avoid them before they cost you time and money.
You will get a printout of all of what this audio is. So it's you'll get a little booklet for that. So don't worry about madly writing down everything I'm saying. You're going to get a full copy of it.
Module 6, common pitfalls and how to avoid them. Scoping is part technical skill, part storytelling, and part quality control. You've done the hard work, documented the loss, written the scope, justified the estimate, but even experienced professionals can make simple mistakes that cost time, money, and credibility. This module is about spotting those traps before you fall into them. Let's walk through the most common scoping pitfalls and how to eliminate them from your process. Pitfall number 1, incomplete documentation. The number one reason estimates get questioned or denied: missing information. That could mean photos that don't show the actual damage, sketches with missing dimensions or doors, or scopes that leave out prep work or finishing details. Okay, that one's not real. We all know adjusters could care less about prep work. Masking anyone. Solution: slow down. Use a checklist, like the custom scope sheets provided in this class. Double check that every room has orientation photos, measurable sketches, room by room scope notes. If it's not documented, it didn't happen, and it definitely won't get paid. Pitfall number 2, misjudging complexity. It's easy to underestimate the time, labor, or steps needed to complete a repair. You might assume a drywall repair is minor, only to discover extensive smoke or water damage behind the surface. Or maybe you forget to account for double drywall in a garage or soundproofing insulation in a shared wall. Even something as simple as working around built-in shelving or oversized furniture can add unexpected time and complexity. I was the worst at this when I was a project manager. My superintendent would often come into my desk and explain to me how I'd only allowed him 2 hours to do an 8-hour job. I simply didn't understand all the steps involved. He forced me to ride with him for a few days and even taught me how to cut drywall. I learned eventually. Solution: train yourself to look deeper. Ask, what's behind the wall? How high is that ceiling? What materials or equipment will be required that I'm not seeing at first glance? Use the outside to in and bottom to top framework to walk through every surface systematically. Don't assume, verify. And if you truly don't know or understand, find someone who does and ask them to educate you. I always say the only dumb question is the one you don't ask. Pitfall number 3, inconsistent logic. This happens when the scope changes room by room. Maybe you write detailed notes for the kitchen but use vague phrasing in the hallway. Or you call for trim replacement in one room but forget to justify it in the next. Solution: stick to your system. Think in patterns. If you're using room variables, use them everywhere. If you're describing prep, masking, and cleanup in one room, do the same in others. Consistency is what makes you look and work like a pro. Bonus solution: use the same as shortcut. Often you'll find rooms within a project that require identical scope of work. This is especially common on fire cleaning or smoke damage jobs. If the conditions, layout, and tasks are truly the same, there's no need to write it all out again. Simply reference the first instance by writing something like same as room 1. This saves time, reduces duplication, and helps ensure consistency across the file. Just make sure that the scope is actually identical before using this shortcut. If there are even small differences, write them out separately. I'll often use same as when replacing continuous flooring. The rest of the room scope may vary, but the flooring activities are identical. Pitfall number 4, over-reliance on templates. Copy-paste scoping is tempting, but no two losses are the same. Solution: use templates as a starting point, not a final product. Always walk the room mentally, confirm what applies, and delete what doesn't. Your photos and sketch should confirm what your scope describes, not contradict it. Pitfall number 5, poor communication with estimators or adjusters. Sometimes the problem isn't what you wrote, it's what you didn't say. Solution: be proactive. Add short notes like see photo for transition line, or estimate assumes access through garage, or maybe subfloor condition confirmed by technician on site. These details show foresight and reduce questions. And when your estimator doesn't have to guess, they can turn your work into an accurate estimate faster and with fewer revisions. Final thought: Scoping is part technical skill, part storytelling, and part quality control. The professionals who excel at it treat every room, every loss, and every scope as a unique project. They document deliberately, think critically, and stay disciplined. Avoiding these common pitfalls isn't just about writing better estimates, it's about building a reputation for accuracy, efficiency, and professionalism. In the next module, we'll shift gears and explore the role of technology in streamlining the scoping process and increasing your accuracy in the field.
Oh, one more. Here we go. I'm going to put a link in the chat for everyone. When this is done, I want everyone to come in so we can talk to each other directly, and then I can do some show and tell. I'm going to paste that link right now. And now we are off. Last module.
Module 7, leveraging technology to streamline scoping. Scoping has come a long way from graph paper and clipboard notes. Today, technology enables us to document faster, more accurately, and with far less friction. But tools alone don't make the process better. It's how you use them that counts. In this module, we'll explore the technologies that are reshaping field scoping and how to implement them without disrupting your workflow or your team. The elephant in the room, Xactimate is the end goal. Let's be clear, everything you document, sketch, and describe is ultimately being used to create a complete estimate in Xactimate. Whether you're doing it yourself or handing it off to a remote estimator, your work feeds into the most widely accepted estimating platform in insurance restoration. That means every photo, measurement, and line note should be created with Xactimate in mind. If it doesn't translate easily to a line item, dimension, or activity in Xactimate, you're either overcomplicating or under-documenting the job. Mobile scanning and digital sketch tools. Modern sketching tools reduce human error and increase speed. Here are 3 of the most widely used options. Encircle floor plan, fast, mobile-friendly sketching using a smartphone camera. Rooms are scanned and translated into usable floor plans that can be imported into Xactimate. DocuSketch offers 360-degree walkthroughs and room-by-room mapping with tags and notes. Excellent for communicating project layout to remote estimators or adjusters. Matterport plus TruePlan creates highly accurate 3D scans with embedded measurement tools and exports a .skx file for direct Xactimate import, ideal for large or complex structures. Each platform has its strengths. Choose based on the job size, your team's workflow, and what level of precision is needed. Cloud-based project documentation. Gone are the days of emailing JPEGs and PDFs back and forth. Use centralized platforms to organize and share documentation in real time. Google Drive/Dropbox, easy and accessible, but best used with a clearly defined folder structure. Encircle/CompanyCam, combine photos, notes, and floor plans under one roof. Accelerate/Albiware, comprehensive restoration management platforms offering job tracking, scheduling, documentation, and integrated workflows to streamline field to office coordination. Whatever platform you choose, the key is organization. Your estimator should be able to open a folder and find sketches, photos labeled and sorted by room, scope notes, per room or by trade, any supporting documentation. Start with the end in mind. Don't take photos just to take photos. Don't sketch just to have a sketch. Every step in the scoping process should be performed with the end goal, a clear, defensible estimate in Xactimate at the center. Train your team to think this way. Before they leave a job site, they should ask, have I captured everything my estimator will need? Can someone unfamiliar with the job write the estimate from my documentation? Have I made the scope easy to read and defend? Technology won't fix poor documentation habits, but it can amplify good ones. Final thought. Technology should support your scoping process, not distract from it. When used intentionally, these tools remove friction, increase consistency, and dramatically improve estimate accuracy. In the next and final module, we'll bring everything together, tying your scoping strategy to business outcomes like profitability, cycle time, and customer satisfaction.
And there we have it. All right, I'm going to stop that. going to come over here. So everyone, click on that link I just put in the chat stream, and let's talk about this thing. I'm going to close down that. Again, I apologize for the technical snafus. I am a professional Xactimate writer. I am not a professional videographer or producer, obviously. Okay. While we're waiting for people to get in here. Oh, here we go. Add to stage. There we go. Get people in here. What's up, Adam? They will need to connect their mic cam before you can add them to the stream. All right, Mackenzie, Mr. John, looks like you're not connected somehow. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to bring my encircle window over here. So this is a loss. Let's just open this a little bit bigger here. And present. Share a screen here. Okay, so this is one of my favorite applications to use in the field. Encircle's been doing this for quite some time. I'm going to take this microphone and put it away. Try to eliminate some echoes there. And here we go. Get in here. Good. That yesterday, and 2.5 minutes walking around with the app, the app on my phone, and then about an hour and a half later, before I got back to my house from inspecting this loss, this was ready. So what I can do from here, what I generally do on smaller things like this, is I take this and I use this as an underlay image in my Xactimate. There's also an option. I can pay, I think it's $49 or $29, depending, to have this directly imported into an Xactimate file. There's that functionality. They added that functionality last year, and it's pretty darn good. So let me show you the photos. Let's see how I did on the photos. Let's go here. So the kitchen was where the loss was. Let's just look at all those photos. And they're in reverse order of when I took them. We start at the bottom here. No, they're not reverse order. Oh, okay. So you can tell, I started on one side, took my right-hand picture, moved around the room. And that's one. And then I went to the other corner, did the same thing, right to left. Anyone else getting a bunch of white noise? I don't know. Anyone hearing that? Is it still going? Or did it go away? Let me know, Greg. And then I took my ceiling photo, another ceiling photo from the other angle. And later on, I went back into the kitchen. You can set up rooms. You can see all the rooms I've set up. So later on, I went back into the kitchen room in Circle and took a picture of a sample of the countertop. And then I took a picture of the damage behind the old refrigerator. Took a picture of the cabinet so I could grade the quality. And then another picture of the cabinet so I can build it. A picture of the Lazy Susan of the cabinet that was taken out. These are all things that are going to help my estimator create a really good scope. So Well, I haven't developed a scope on this yet, but and then is this a gas or electric range? Well, take a picture. That looks like a gas line to me. And then there was damage to some of the panels on the cabinetry. So that is, and then they had to cut out part of the cabinetry there. There's my photos in the kitchen, and I did the same thing in the living room. There's no damage in this room. Yep. So I just did some overview pictures. This one did make it into my sketch. And then I measured the ceiling heights. One of them was 8 foot, and the peak was 21 feet. Picture of my laser. Okay, I want to show you what's in the goodie bag that I'm going to send you.
Hey, Rainbow, can you mute your mic, please?
I can stop sharing that. First thing you'll get is the 24-hour tech documentation package. Share. Oh. So this is a checklist I developed when I was at ServiceMaster, and but the really what I want to focus on is the room notes. So when I said there's a difference between mitigation scoping and repair scoping, this is mitigation scoping. This is mitigation by numbers. It makes it very quick and easy to document each room, what was done in each room. And what you can see in here is the room note, or the room variable. Let's start on that. So in here, instead of saying how much square feet did we extract, we just circle F for the whole floor, or we circle 1/2 for half the floor we extracted. Same thing with cover and protect. Did we cover protect the floor? Yes, circle it. Cover protect the walls? Yes. And then linear foot down here, you can see how many linear feet of drywall did we take out? Was it a 2 foot, a 4 inch, or a 4 foot flood cut? Just circle these, and we use these shortcuts. All right, next package. Oh, that's, so this is the precursor book to this course. You'll get a copy of that. Another copy of the room notes. So this is the scope notes. This is the structural scope notes. You'll see it starts, it just gives you, it's not a tick sheet. It just gets your frame of mind of how you're going to go about scoping this on a room by room basis. Starts with what kind of subtrades or equipment I'm going to use, what kind of damage or repairs to the structure or the framing. And then we look at the floor. We start at the floor. What are we doing on the, what are the functions on the floor? What are the functions on the wall? What are the functions on the ceiling? And we do that the same every single time, every single room. So the estimator that's going to be looking at your data can follow along mentally in your process. And again, at the bottom of this, you'll see the short codes. W equals square foot of walls, F equals square foot of floor, C square foot of ceiling, PFPC, and LF is linear feet. So oftentimes if I'm painting half a wall, it's going to be W, or half the walls in a room is going to be W divided by 2. If I only extracted half the floor, it's F divided by 2. Real simple, basic stuff, so I don't have to measure again. Okay, so here is the written form of the presentation you just saw. You're going to get a copy of that. This is a kind of a guide for newer folks. Put this in their toolbox and say, this is how I want you to go about scoping. And I'll walk them through the process that we just walked through. And the 24-hour tech mitigation handbook. This is the precursor to this. Where did it go? Well, anyway, goes from here. This is the mitigation checklist for the 24-hour tech. And this is the book, the 24-hour tech. There's also there's an online course for the 24-hour tech. If you want to go to waterdamageprofit.com, it'll get you there. All right, let's open it up. What say you guys? It looks like I overestimated the time this was going to take by at least an hour. So we've got plenty of time. Yeah, I don't know. Greg, are you still hearing that? Because I'm not hearing anything on my end. Testing. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not hearing any feedback either. You guys are muted. So, no white noise, only a second audio feed from another instructor. Interesting. Huh. Well, I wonder if John McKinsey is messing up here. I'm going to get him out of here. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw everyone. All right, so go ahead and mute yourselves.
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw
unless
everyone.
you want to talk. But here we go.
Go ahead and mute yourselves. Oh, I'm
Sorry
sorry.
about that, Greg. It's good to see you, though. I can see you now. Oh, he's gone. He's going to try it again. All right. So what did that make sense to everyone? The folks that have been doing this in the field, how did that hit?
Hey, Andy, Adam here with GWAF. I've seen this program before, and I worked with you in the past, but I think it's a good refresher, and it definitely hits like
Did I lose
everything
anybody?
that you stated
Adam,
makes.
are you trying to talk? Because I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can see your face light up, Adam, but I can't hear a word you're saying.
All right. Well, I'm gonna mute myself if somebody else wants to take over.
I can hear him.
Okay. Well, then yeah, everything class is right on point. You
guys are
definitely
just
implement
all
everything
in
he's
the plan.
stating, and it's definitely going to make your life a lot easier.
I want everyone to know that scoping. Oh, here's a bunch of private chats over here. Oh, shoot. I missed all this. Do the scope sheets you just showed for MIT also have an area to notate for cleaning? Yeah, do they? Is there cleaning on here? No, but that sounds like a great... Well, you can use this. Oh. You can use... So this doesn't say cleaning. Again, it's not a tick sheet per se, but you can list all the cleaning activities in a sheet like this.
Okay.
Still repeating.
Okay. You guys can hear Adam and I couldn't hear him? Interesting. That's all right. Huh. That's crazy. Okay.
I just fixed it.
Okay, what other questions we got? No, I can't hear any of you. I'm sorry, Amanda. That defeats the purpose of all this, doesn't it? I wonder. Oh, I know. Let me see. Let me try something. Let's try. Whoa. Now I hear some feedback. Okay. Adam, you want to try one more time?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. What I was saying was pretty much your course is on par for everything to make your life a lot easier as a technician and as a company owner. You know, I've known you for a while, and I leaned on you really hard when I first started my company, and you've been a great resource. So all this information is vital, and again, it'll make your life a lot easier if you just follow these basic steps, for sure.
Yeah. The idea is what a lot of newer folks have trouble grasping is the fact that the person that's probably going to be writing the estimate is never going to be on site, and they're never going to have the same experience as you are being there in person. There's just something about being on a site that allows you to absorb way more data. But in this day and age where we've bifurcated roles, the days of the project manager, scoper / estimator are going away. And so we just need a way to efficiently get all the information out of your head onto paper to hand off to somebody else.
Hey, Amanda here.
Hey.
Yeah, so that's my position. Is I'm not going on site, but I'm getting all of the documentation to put these together, these estimates together, um, mainly for mitigation. But I'm super excited about showing these breakdowns of how to walk through a job, even just for our repair team. I want to show them the stuff that you're going to give to us, and I think it's going to help them tremendously with how they're scoping for these jobs. But the biggest problem I've had with our mitigation field team is just not capturing everything.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we've come a long way, but we still have a ways to go. So that has been like a huge headache for me in the position that I'm in. So I'm definitely going to take a look at all this stuff and try to share it with the team and see if we can get on a better track.
Yeah, perfect. Do you, what, are you guys using an application in the field?
So I think I met with you a couple days ago. I think I showed you the tick sheets that we're using. And it's kind of it's a snapshot of the most common exactment line items that you use for mitigation. It is missing a lot of stuff, and so we have a comment section where they can write down anything that maybe wasn't there to notate. But then and then the rest is just me relying heavily on DocuSketch scans and photos. But if the photos, I feel are the biggest part that needs work with our team, and so that's kind of been mainly the struggle I've had.
Yeah, and the photos, even though you have a DocuSketch or maybe you have a Matterport, you can still tell. You can tell way more of a story with intentional photos.
Yeah.
So training your folks to really show the camera the entire loss is the key. Like, so I did a sketch with with Encircle, but I still went back and took all my photos because I want double. I want all the data.
Yeah, for sure.
What's up, Mr. Chris? Curtis? Curtis. Oh, I'm just gonna mute you. Sounds like you're driving. Okay. Well, it's wonderful to hear everyone finally. Oh man. I really know I really am good at my job. Honest, I'm just not very good at this technical video stuff. I did start my career with a tape deck in my car, so that tells you when I started. So, okay, Mr. Rainbow AccuServe. I'm an estimator for this MIT company, and I try to train my techs to capture all documentation needed. How important is it for the estimator to be on site with the techs to scope the mitigation job? Well, the genesis of the 24-hour tech was me being in your position. I was working for a ServiceMaster franchise in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I was the sole project manager, estimator, chief bottle washer. And when we got busy, it became impossible, physically impossible, for me to see every single job. So I had to come up with some way for my technicians, who I just hired last week, to get me the information so I didn't have to drive around the Phoenix metro area like a madman every single day. So I would say, how important is it for the estimator to be on site? I think it's important that you build a system so that doesn't have to happen. You need to train your techs to be better at their documentation job. You need to give them a system they can use that makes their job easier. But as long as the estimator is going out there and helping the technicians do their documentation, they're never going to learn. They're never going to learn to do it right. They're always going to have you as a crutch. And so you're always going to be disappointed with their work product. I'm sure they're great at their actual jobs, but what most technicians don't learn and they're not told is half of their job is documentation, not just drying out houses, not just sucking out water, not just removing carpet. The other half of the job is documenting those actions in a way that is transparent and defensible. So I would say, for you, I would spend 2 or 3 days in the field with each technician, getting them onboarded into a system. If you don't have a system, the 24-hour tech is going to be great. It's designed for that, and it's paper based. There's no electricity needed. It's simple, paper based. But if I have my clients send me the mitigation scope sheets from the 24-hour tech, I can write mitigation invoices in 15 minutes. It just flies through. And if you're augmenting that with some sort of automatic sketching tool, that's even better. What else we got here? Okay. Well, it's 10 o'clock my time, so this whole thing took an hour, which is good. I think I'm going to revise it. I'm going to re-record this. You're going to get this recording, but I'm going to re-record it. I'm not super happy with the flow and the slides, so you'll get a copy of that once that's done. I'm going to send an email here as soon as I shut down, and you'll have all the documents I promised you. And then, in the meantime, you know how to get a hold of me now. I'm in Bend, Oregon, but my clients are all over the country, and I love to hear from restorers. I want to hear your problems. I want to try to help you out. So if you need estimating help, I'm your guy. Claims delegates. We've got a team of estimators that can do that for you. If you need in-person coaching or education, we can fly to you. We can do that. Otherwise, if you guys are not in the Total Claim Alliance Restoration Rebel Facebook group, you should probably get in there. It's pretty cool. We've gotten pretty rowdy lately, and there's almost 11,000 professional restorers in that group, really there to help each other out, to help each other raise the bar for the industry at large. So everyone here, let me see, no more questions.
Hey, I have a quick question for you, Andy.
Yeah, go ahead.
The you were showing the sketch earlier, and the app you were using for that was InCircle. You said when you got back, it was already sketched out, or
Yep, that was in Circle. Yep.
all right, and then you could pay additional to import it into Xactimate.
Yeah, and it's $29.
Sure.
And so that one I showed you, we had a kitchen, a living room, a kitchen with a pantry, a living room, and a laundry room. I'm just going to do an underlay image because I can do that in 5-10 minutes, and I'm not going to pay for that. But
Right.
if you don't have the technical ability to do an underlay image in Xactimate, and this is not an Xactimate class, otherwise I'd show you right now, just pay for it. And it's getting better by the day. It's amazing. What are you using now?
Honestly, we work with another restorer that does. So we do the mitigation and they do the restoration. And then usually they sketch it and they just ESX me and I take theirs. And we inspect at the same time. So I just take their sketch 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So
that's convenient.
Yeah, it's very convenient. But yeah. Also, side note, I do want to reach out to you, but I'll hit you up later on some yeah.
All right, man. All right. Anytime.
All right. Well, thank you for the class. It was great. Appreciate it.
Man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to see you. And let me know if you need anything else.
Thank you.
See ya.